right, but like Yolanda said, we are going to revise everything that we have done so far. And before we jump straight into our examples, what I just want to chat about is a bit of a revision, cheat sheet, information moment where we just discuss very quickly the reasons that we have learned so far. And so guys, if you haven't been doing what I said you should do in terms of every time you learn a new reason, have it on a sheet of paper, almost like your own personal cheat sheet, I would definitely write this down right now. This is going to be helpful to you. You can then keep this next to you whenever you're doing homework, whenever you're practicing for tests or exams. I don't know what I was going general. But if you have basically all of your reasons in one place when you're doing homework, when you're practicing, and when you're revising, just makes it so much easier to start learning your reasons off by heart. So what we're going to just quickly do is recap all of our geometric reasons that we've learned. Right, so if you do have or have been doing a cheat sheet, information sheet, yeah, okay, information sheet for yourself, I suggest just double checking that you've got all of the correct reasons on there. All right, so we've learned quite a few thus far. I'm just trying to decide what I want to do here. The first reason that we learned together was the fact that adjacent angles around the point, now remember adjacent means next to, add up to 360 degrees. So basically what that means is if you've got a central point and a bunch of angles around that point, if you add all of those angles up, you will get 360 degrees. That was the very first reason that we learned. Right, the second reason that we learned was the fact that adjacent angles, so again, angles next to each other on a straight line, add up to 180. So again, if you have a straight line and some angles on that straight line, if you add them up, you will get 180 degrees. That was the second reason that we learned. Right, the third reason that we learned, not necessarily one that comes up a whole lot, but one that is quite useful to know at times. So just try that again, is the fact that once again, I can't spell, so I'm going to try the whole sentence again. Adjacent angles that add up to 90 degrees are complementary angles. Now remember, we also spoke about the fact that when in a diagram, you're given an image and it's got that little square in it, that basically means that you have a 90-degree angle. So remember, that square means 90 degrees. Like I said, this isn't a reason that comes up a lot, but useful to always know. The fourth reason that we had a look at was the fact that angles vertically opposite to each other are equal. Okay, so this is where we look out for that cross shape and the fact that the angles directly opposite each other at the point where the lines meet are equal to each other. So the open dots are, that's a little bit too similar here. Let's use a cross rather. So as long as they sit directly opposite each other at the point of intersection between your lines, those angles are equal. And then we moved on to our parallel line reasons. So the first reason that we learned was that angles in corresponding positions are equal. And again, this all has to do with parallel lines. And corresponding angles are the ones that fall into the F shape. So if we have an F shape, it's a bit of an excessive F shape, but anyways, the angles in the same corresponding position are equal in size. The next reason that we learned was that angles that are co-interior to each other add up to 360 degrees. I said 360 degrees, I meant 180, so sorry. This is what happens when I try multitask. So I'm just going to say the co-interior one again. Angles that are co-interior to each other add up to 180. So co-interior is the U shape. They're not equal, but when we add them up, we get 180 degrees. And the final reason that we learned was the fact that angles in alternate positions on parallel lines are equal. And this, of course, is your zigzag or your N or your Z shape. So if we have something like that, angles in alternate positions are then equal to each other. Now, guys, very importantly, these last three reasons, we have to always, because they deal with parallel lines, we have to always state the parallel lines. So when we give our reason, we have to state the parallel lines. And that will be based on the labels you have been given. All right, so if we just underneath write down the specific reason you would put when you're doing your working out. So adjacent angles around a point add up to 360 is just angles around a point. You can say around if you want. And remember, in your reasons, you can abbreviate. There's nothing wrong with that. Angles on a straight line, literally angles on straight line. Complementary angles, our reason is comp angles. Angles that are vertically opposite, vert op angles equal. Corresponding angles, we can abbreviate corresponding. And remember, we have to state the parallel lines. Co-interior angles, whoopsie daisies. Co-int angles, again, state your parallel lines. And finally, alternate angles is then just alt angles. Again, stating your parallel lines. Okay, so guys, these 7 are the reasons that we have done over the last 3 weeks. You can use any of these reasons. So at any point in geometry, as long as it fits in with the diagram, as long as it applies to the diagram you have been given, you can use any of these reasons. Now remember, sometimes you might have used one reason, your friend might have used another reason. It doesn't necessarily mean that one of you is wrong. Often there's multiple ways to do a question. And so please just remember that as we go along. I will try point out all the alternate options as we go along, but just remember, just because you've done it one way doesn't necessarily mean it is wrong. As long as you've applied the geometry correctly, you will be fine. So I'm just going to wait here in case you want to take a screenshot of, screenshot of these reasons before we carry on. Otherwise, we're going to do a whole bunch of examples to practice. So this is what your information / cheat sheet should be looking like so far. When we start next week with the 2D geometry, so when we start with our triangle reasons, we can add on to this information sheet and essentially just end up with one complete cheat sheet for geometry in grade 8. Right, I hope we've all got our screenshots. Let's have a look at some examples. Right, so I want you, excuse me, I want you to try question 1 by yourselves. The first thing, guys, I would always do is I would always check if I have parallel lines, because then there's potentially a way, or there's potentially going to be me using parallel line reasons. If there's no parallel lines, start looking for angles around a point, angles on a straight line. Sorry. Angles on a straight line, verts up angles. Remember, of course, parallel lines have the arrows on them. So if there's no arrows, you have no parallel lines. So give this one a try. On the chat, I want to see answers with reasons. Please take note of the fact that you are looking for angle A and angle B. There's two angle sizes I want you to find. Remember to give your statement and your reason. And just in case we're not clear, your instruction here is to determine the value of the lowercase letters. Exactly like people are doing on the chat, statement reason, or answer reason rather. And remember, you are looking for both A and B. You don't have to go alphabetical. You can start with B if you want. I don't particularly mind. Sometimes it's useful to go alphabetically, sometimes it's not. It's completely up to you. As long as you get both answers, I'm happy. Good, grade 8. I'm going to give you another minute. All right, would anyone like to raise their hand to give me either angle A or angle B? Okay, Lwandle.
Evening, ma'am. How are you today?
Good evening. I'm good. How are you?
I'm very good. So, ma'am, what I did to find A, I said A plus 80 equals 180 degrees. And then I said A equal to 180. I moved the positive 80 over the equal sign, making it a negative. So I said A equals 180 minus 80, and then I said A equals 100. So I noticed 80 was a K and L were a straight line. So I remember the reason angles on adjacent angles on a straight line, and then I used that reason.
Good. Okay, so guys, angles on a straight line, we can use that to go and find A. That's it. Right, Lwandle, do you want to give me B as well, seeing as you're the only one with your hand up?
So ma'am, for B, I essentially did the same thing. I said B plus 10 should give me 180 degrees. So I said B, took 10, jumped it over the equal sign, got negative 10. So I said B equals 180 minus 10. And then I got B, which was equal to 170 degrees. And then I saw that B was kind of on, had a common vertex with A. So I said adjacent angles on a straight line, as the diagram that you used on 2 there looks familiar to this one, so I use that reason.
Okay, good. So guys, exactly. Both of these angles can be found using the same reason, angles on a straight line. So line, right. Me and technology today, we're just fighting. Okay, so either or not either. For angle A, you've got the straight line KL, and we used angles on a straight line. For angle B, we also had the same straight line KL, and we used angles on a straight line. Right? So for both of these angles, the reason was the same. However, once you had angle A, so once you knew that A was 100 degrees, you could have, if you wanted to, used angles around a point because you've got 100, 80, 10, and then you're looking for B. You could have used the fact that angles around a point add up to 360 to get B as well. So that's what I mean when I say often there's more than one way to do something. If you use angles around a point, you'll get exactly the same answer. You will get full marks. So just bear that in mind as you go along and you start to answer these questions. Alrighty, guys, so take your screenshots. I'm not going in the order of my own questions just because I'm making choices. So take a screenshot here. If anyone has any questions about this, please raise your hand to ask. Otherwise, I'm moving on to our next question. Okay. Right, so I want you to try, and we'll call this question 2, because, we'll pretend we can do basic maths here. So question 2, I want you to try question 2. What I want you to just take note of, you're looking for X, you're looking for Y, and you are looking for Z. There are 3 angles. I want you to give me the values of X, Y, and Z. Make sure you do all 3 with the reasons, please. Again, double check if there's parallel lines. We only have parallel lines if there's little arrows on there. If there aren't, move on. Think about angles on a straight line, angles around the point, vert op angles. Maybe your reasons, please. Again, you don't have to do it in alphabetical order. You do it in the order that works for you. As long as I get all 3 answers, I'm happy. Nice. I like when we put all our answers into one message. Right, again, would anyone like to raise their hand to give me answers? Hopefully we can get 3 people, 1 for each angle, but let's see. If anyone wants to raise their hand to give me an answer, that would be amazing. Otherwise, I'll do it. Okay, Chantal, nice.
Evening, ma'am.
Evening.
Ma'am, that is equals to 30 degrees.
Okay, cool. So we're going to start with Z. Z is equal to 30 degrees. What's your reason?
It's opposite. It's vertex opposite.
Good. Okay, so guys, Z we know is 30 degrees, exactly as Chantal said. There's my cross. They're vertically opposite to each other. Okay, Chantal, you're the only one with your hand up, so you want to do the others for me?
Ma'am, also X.
Okay.
X is equals to 115 degrees.
And your reason?
It's also vertex opposite angles.
Good. So again, guys, here's your cross shape, PQ and UT. X and 115 are vertically opposite to each other. Have you got Y as well, Chantal?
No, ma'am, I don't have Y yet.
Okay, cool, no problem. Well done for X and Z. Thank you very much. Alrighty, guys, so awesome. We've got X, we've got Z. Let's have a look at Y. So let's just fill in X. This was 115 degrees. Okay, now guys, for Y, there's a couple ways that you can do it. It really is like completely based on how you visualize and how you see this diagram. So I see it as, here's a straight line PQ, Y plus 30 plus 115 has to give me 180 because they're adjacent angles on a straight line. So that means that Y plus 30 plus 115 must give me 180 angles on a straight line. Whoops. I now need to solve my equation. I'm just going to add 30 and 115 because they like terms. So Y, okay, we'll try that again. Y plus 145 is equal to 180. And so what that means is that Y is equal to 35 degrees. Now you don't have to have done it like that. You also could have used the straight line SR and used angles on a straight line there. If you had made the statement that this angle over here with the big purple dot was equal to I don't know why my brain has just stopped here, is equal to 35 degrees because of angles on a straight line or whatever you've used. You could have used angles around a point. You could have done then vertically opposite. There's so many ways that you could have done this. As long as you've written everything down that you needed, as long as you've given me all of your reasons, you will get the marks. Okay, so you could have done angles around a point. You could have done vert up angles only if you had stated that this was equal to 35 because of angles on a straight line or whatever you used. Okay, so lots of ways to do it. As long as you put all your reasons down, as long as you show all of your working out, you will get the marks. Alrighty, so let's take our screenshots here. Let us do one more and then we'll take a brain break. Oh. Okay, screenshots, and then I'm moving. Right. Next one I want you to try, clearly I've got a lot of writing going on here, is this question here. I'm actually just going to move this down a little bit so that we've got some space. Right, so this question, I think this is now question 3 in our fun new order that I've just decided to go on. Question 3. So guys, I just want to make this very clear. These red arrows are telling me that the lines are parallel to each other. Okay, so they're telling me that they're parallel, which means that this line is parallel to this line. So give me an answer for X here. I want to know what the value of X is. Let's see what we get. Remember your reasons. Remember our reasons, please, guys. I'm seeing some answers just without reasons. Let's just remember those. Okay, does anyone want to raise their hand to explain this one for us? Anyone want to raise their hand to explain?
We can do this, my people. Raise your hand. Now is that time to shine. There we go.
Okay, Lesedi.
Hi, ma'am.
Evening.
What I did, ma'am, I said 11x minus 2, and then I said equals to 75.
Good. And what's your reason?
Ma'am, I don't know.
Okay, how do you, like, looking at the diagram, why are you saying they're equal? Oops.
Ma'am, because like we're trying to find x, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, ma'am.
Okay, it's fine. We'll come back to the reason. Carry on solving this one for me.
Ma'am, and then I said 11x equals 75 plus 2.
Good.
And then I said 11x divided by 11. And then I said I added the 75 plus 2 equals 77.
Good.
And I divided it by 11.
Excellent.
7.
Excellent. Well done. Okay, so guys, exactly. X is equal to 7 degrees. So back to our reason. If we go and have a look here, what we have, because of our parallel lines, we've got this backwards upside down F shape. And so that means that 75, yeah, cool. That means that 75 and 11x minus 2 are corresponding with each other. And so that means we are working with corresponding angles. Now, hopefully what you realize is that I don't have any labels for my lines. So when I now write my parallel lines, I can literally just write parallel lines. If there's no labels, just write parallel lines. That is absolutely fine. All right, so it is because they're parallel, but it's specifically because they are in corresponding positions. We can now say that they are equal. So Lesedi, very nice, well done. Guys, I hope we're marking. I hope we're taking screenshots as we need it. The screen is a little bit aggressive for me. I'm gonna just take that off. I'll put the F shape back on, but that was just a little bit too much. No one needs that much in their life. Okay, so there's our F shape. These angles correspond with each other. Canva, yes, you do need to state parallel lines. So you'll have corresponding or co-interior or alternate, and then you put the parallel lines. And if there aren't labels, you just write parallel lines. You can use the symbol for parallels. You don't have to write out the word parallel, but it must be there. Right, guys, any questions? You can raise your hand if you have any. But remember as well, you should be asking questions on the chats as we go along, as everyone's doing anyways. But anyone with questions, you can raise your hand. Alrighty. Right, I think a well-deserved brain break is coming your way. Right, you know the deal. First person to get the answer can raise their hands and explain it for us. Let's see what we get. Tetel here today. Tetel is here. Okay, so Tetel, pace yourself. So guys, if we are feeling a little bit confused on what is it? Oh, poorly. What we are trying to do is we want to find the value of this last equation down here in our brain break. So just take careful note of what's going on. Let's see what we get. First person to get it right on the chat, I will call your name and you can then raise your hand and you can explain it for us. Remember, this is like an equation, so don't overthink it. You're solving for an unknown. Sinclair. Nice, Sinclair. Well done. And Retabile almost straight after. So Sinclair, if you want to raise your hand and explain it for us. Okay.
Hi, ma'am.
Hi.
So ma'am, the cups with water, I said 30 divided by 3, which I got 10.
Excellent.
Then I knew that 1 plus is equal to 10. Then for the next equation to get 20, I said 20 minus 10. Then I divided 10 by 2 and I got 5 for 1 bigger. Then for the third equation, I said 9 minus 5, which I got 4. Then I said 4 divided by 4, which I got 1. So I knew 1 packet of the fries is equals to 1.
Okay, cool.
Then the last equation, it was 5 plus 1 times 10. And I said 1 times 10 is equals to 10. Then plus 5 is equals to 15.
Excellent. Well done. So guys, BODMAS there. We have to do BODMAS. Please don't forget about it. It's not an option. You have to do it. And very nicely explained, Sinclair. Well done. So guys, I hope you all got it. Let's just have a 60-second stretch. Get your, I nearly said your brains flowing. We don't want brains to flow. Get your blood flowing to your brains. And we're going to carry on with some more geometry examples. And good. Well done if you tried and you see your mistake. Brain break, nothing serious. Even the actual questions, mistakes happen. We just got to make sure we learn from them. All right, I just want to see what question I feel like we should do next. Okay, so I want us to have a try of this question. Again, there's 3 angles you need to find. Angle A, angle B. Okay, we've still got an aggressive green pen going on here. Angle A, angle B, and angle C. 3 angles I want you to find, please. With reasons in the chats. I'm excited to see some answers. Remember, look out for parallel lines. Guys, what you need to remember is that in geometry, if we've given you something, so if there's information that we've given you, whether it's given angles or parallel lines or a 90-degree angle, it's probably going to be useful. So that's why I say start by identifying, do you have parallel lines? Because if you do, it's probably going to be useful to you. All right, so just to help us out here, because we seem to be slow start after brain break. VW is parallel to AZ or ZA, it doesn't really matter. They've got the arrows on them, so I know that they're parallel. So hopefully that helps. Let's see what we get. Answers in the chat, please, with reasons. And guys, remember, you've taken a screenshot of all of your reasons on that reasons list. You're not 100% sure? Refer back to that. All of your reasons are there, and hopefully you can use it to answer the question. And that's the whole purpose of having an information sheet for yourself. Remember, anytime you use a parallel line reason, so corresponding, co-interior, or alternate, you need to state the parallel lines. I'm going to give you another minute or so. Right, does anyone want to raise their hand to give us some answers? Okay, I see 3 hands for 3 angles. So Cameron, you're going to do A. Chantal, you're going to do B. Lesedi, you're going to do C. Lwandle, I do see your hand. Hopefully the next one you can get in there and give us an answer. Right, so Cameron, A for me.
Evening, ma'am.
Evening.
I did so I said, firstly, I had to find, I said A is 80 degrees because
Okay.
of alternate angles. VW is parallel to ZA.
Perfect. Okay, so guys, here's my Z shape. I know I've chosen a very bad color. So there's the alternate angles Cameron just told us about. So A is equal to 80 alternate angles. And very importantly, state your parallel lines. I'm just going to go here. VW is parallel to AZ or ZA. Really doesn't matter as long as your letters are there. Excellent, Cameron. Thank you. Well done. Chantal, B.
Ma'am, B is equals to 50.
Good. And what's your reason?
Corresponding angles.
Excellent. Well done. Again, state your parallel lines, VW parallel to AZ. But guys, that corresponding angle Chantal's just told us, it's like an upside down F. So B and 50 are in corresponding positions. Excellent, Chantal. Thank you. And then the SETI question, angle C. I don't know who have unmuted, so please just ignore me. The SETI.
C equals to 80 degrees because of vertically opposite.
Excellent. Okay, so guys, I just want to point out here, C is vert opposite to A. I would have used the same reason. However, you could have also said that C is corresponding to 80 because of that backwards F shape that I've just drawn. So you could have also used corresponding angles there for your reason for C being 80. That's absolutely fine. At the end of the day, C is equal to 80. Right, as long as we got that, then we're sorted. Alrighty, so please let's take our screenshots. Thank you to our three, Cameron, Chantal, and Sadie for giving us answers there. No working out required. We've got A, B, and C. If anyone has any questions, now's the time to raise your hand and ask. Otherwise, we're going to move on to another. Sadie?
Ma'am, if you check, ma'am, right, B and 50 is like a corresponding angle, like it goes corresponding. And then if you check again, like B, from B to A, it's also like corresponding in a way.
Okay, so I hear what you're saying, but just be careful. ED isn't parallel to BC. So that's why B and A aren't equal because they're not parallel. But good pick up over there, because if they had been parallel, then yes, we could have used corresponding.
Okay.
Good. Okay, guys, nice. I just want to see what we have next. Sorry, I'm panicking a wee bit. All right, so I want you guys to try these two for me. We've got 10 minutes. So I'm going to give you 5, mostly because I don't think you need more than 2 for the first one. So in question 5, I don't even know what number we're on. I want the value of X. In question 6, please take note of how many angles you need to find a value of. We have got angle A that I want a value of. We have got angle B that I want a value of, and we have got angle C that I want a value of. So at the end of the day, I want answer for X, A, B, and C. Identify your parallel lines for yourself. And I've just realized in question 5, I have not put that information on for you. So those lines are parallel to each other. I'm going to try those arrows again because they were just gross. Didn't get any better, but we'll just pretend they're fine. So those lines are parallel to each other, and have a look at the lines parallel in question 6, and let's get some answers for X, A, B, and C. Remember your reasons, guys. I don't really mind which question you start with. So if you want to start by finding A, B, and C, and then move on to X, that's fine. If you want to start with X and then go on to A, B, C, that's fine as well. Completely up to you. A bird making so much noise outside my window. It's ridiculous. Just on and on and on. Joshua, no, those brackets don't mean you have to times. They've just put them into brackets. You can ignore them. They're not, they don't mean that they times, that we times them. Few more minutes. Just remember reasons, guys, and remember that if you use parallel line, if you use a parallel line reason, so alternate corresponding criteria, we need to please put in the parallel lines. All right, guys, so if we start with the one on the left, so with the x's, but annoying that there's no labels on any of these lines. So I'm just going to call this angle over here, angle M, because it's quite important that we know what that angle is. So this angle M we can see is vertically opposite. So we can first state that angle M is equal to 7x minus 20 degrees. And that's because they're vertically opposite. Now, guys, what's really important is that we have to make this statement. If we don't make this statement, we cannot then say that 7x minus 20 is equal to 4x plus 16. Without making the statement that we know that this angle that I've labeled M is 7x minus 20, anything else that we state is irrelevant. So please make sure, and I said this to you earlier, make sure you write everything down. The second you have to do some working out, or the second you have to give an angle its value, write it down. Right, that's really important for me, because what I now see is that because of the parallel lines, I have got an F shape. And so that means that this angle that I called M corresponds to the angle 4x plus 16. And so what that means is that 7x minus 20 is equal to 4x plus 16 degrees. And that is because they are corresponding angles. Right, we don't really have labels on these lines. Remember, all we say is then just parallel lines if we don't have labels. I can now solve for x. So I'm going to bring the 4x over. 7x minus 4x is equal to, I'm going to bring the 20 over, so 16 plus 20. Remember those inverse operations. 7x minus 4x is 3x. 16 plus 20 is 36. I'm going to divide both sides by 3 to solve for x. And so x is equal to 12 degrees. So guys, again, really, really important that we make the statement about the vertically opposite angles, because otherwise you're just making assumptions. All right, really important, that one. If we have a look then at the question over on the right, you can start wherever you want. I'm just going to start with A. So we can see that A plus 65 plus 70 will give me 180 because they are all adjacent angles on a straight line. So they add up to 180. Angles on a straight line is my reason. I'm going to solve for A. So I'm going to add 60 and 70 to start off with. A plus 135 is equal to 180. I'm now going to solve for A. So I'm going to subtract 135 on both sides. So 180 minus 35. And so A is equal to 45 degrees. Now you can put that on your diagram in case it helps you later on. If I now go and have a look at B, I've made choices that are all wrong. I've got this Z shape, which tells me that B is alternate to 65. So I can go straight away and say B is 65 degrees, alt angles. Remember to state your parallel lines. AB is parallel to HD. So in this case, I had labels, so I can use them. And then guys, a very similar thing for C. For C, I've got the other Z shape, which tells me that C and 70 are alternate to each other. So C is equal to 70 degrees, again, because of alt angles. And again, I need to state my parallel lines. Right, so these last two questions quite tricky, especially the question 5 with X, because of that statement we needed to make to state the vert op angles. And again, it's a really, really important one. So please make sure you do it. Basically, guys, in geometry, you write everything down, right? You have to write everything down. When in doubt, write it down. And question 6, not as tricky. There was just a fair amount going on, so we needed to just read carefully. All right, so you're going to see in the chat that you are going to get the quiz link. So please grab that quiz link. And Paul, the M I added. So there was no labels on my diagram, and I needed to be able to state that that angle was vertically opposite. So I added a label there. You are welcome to do that in your diagrams. Just make sure you put it on your diagram so your teacher can see that. But if I didn't have it there, there was no way for me to indicate what angle I was working with. So I just added a little label there so that in my working out, I can see that, let me just get a pen here. I could see that M relates to this first statement that I make here. Lubanzi, question?
Sorry, ma'am, I was going to ask the same thing.
Okay, no problem.
Okay.
And Nkululeko, you can use any letter. Generally, we don't add to the diagram. I just forgot to add some line labels here. So if in doubt and if you need a label, you can use any letter you want. Doesn't matter, just don't use obviously a letter that's already on the diagram. So that's why I didn't use X, because I was already using X. But I needed to have something there so that I could label my angle. Okay, guys.